Welcome to Health Coach for Women. Intentional living for more happiness and fulfillment in your everyday life with your host, Marsha Roopchand Walker. Join Marsha as she shares her own personal wellness journey, as well as stories from our guests that will enlighten and inspire you to move towards better health and happiness. Now, here's your host, Marsha Roopchand Walker.
So today I have the pleasure of interviewing the lovely Miss Laura Cronin, who is an author as well as entrepreneur, and she is going to share with us her experience as being someone who's living with type 1 diabetes. She is going to share that with us, along with some other interesting insights. Please welcome Laura Cronin.
Hi, thanks for having me.
You are quite welcome. Now, first, I just have to put it out there. Miss Cronin, also life coach, she was my very first life coach. I forget what year that was, when I lived in Atlanta.
Yeah. Oh, where do you live now?
I'm in Cleveland.
I didn't know that. I thought you were still
Yes, no, I got married and moved to Cleveland, Ohio. Yes. So you were my very first life coach, and I'm telling you, I loved it. I really loved it. And at the time, I was just finding a way to just like, I need to pay for a coach. I need to pay for a coach. I got to find the money, somehow, some way, do it. I did it for a little while. I couldn't keep up with it, but in the time that we did have together, I enjoyed it. And you helped me with a lot of few things too, and helped me to find my path on where I'm at now. So thank you.
Yeah, it seemed like you springboarded after doing that.
Oh my gosh. Not between jumping some hurdles and falling and getting back down and getting back up,
That is part of life.
Yeah, so please tell me what it is that you do. Tell us what you do, and just give us some insight on everything that you're doing right now. What would you like the audience to know?
Well, I'm basically like a Jill of all trades, I like to say. Life coaching is my core. I also do consultant work for different diabetes companies, which we're going to be speaking about as well.
Okay.
The whole type 1 experience that I have. And I homeschool my children, which has been a huge, I won't say like project, but a huge component of my life for the last couple of years, because I've been doing it for the last 4 years.
Right.
I've written a book about homeschooling and about diabetes, so those are both out right now on my website. And,
okay.
I also, let's see, what else do I do? And I also work with a lot of people in the diabetes community to help them to feel better about themselves emotionally and physically.
Yes, and that's important. That is very important. So I know, number one, I know that homeschooling, I'm hearing from a lot, and myself, well, not myself, but my my daughter with the grandchildren, that homeschooling, as well as other people that I heard that homeschooling could be a challenge, especially when you've never actually really done it before. You're so used to just sending them off to school. So I know that can be a challenge. How is that for you?
Well, I went into it when my older son was going his freshman year in high school, and my younger son was his first year middle school, and I knew nothing about it. I kind of went in blind, but we came up with a really good program and a really good method to working every day. And the kids, truthfully, I didn't think I was going to have the patience to homeschool. Like, if I would probably be the last person that you could think would homeschool before I started homeschooling. So my kids wanted to do it for a while, and I always had resisted it. And finally, one day I was like, you know what, let's do this. And I just started reading about it and learning about it, and put my kids on a path that they've been like really wildly successful with. I mean, my son is
great.
Graduating high school this May.
Wow.
He already received his associate's degree from Georgia State.
Wow, that is awesome.
Yeah, so it's been, there's just so many more opportunities and so many more pathways that you can take, and so many more things that you can do to focus on what my children really like and what anybody's children really like. You can really focus on those things. Like my younger son, he really likes music, so we do things that are, based around music, and it's just, I think it's really helped to expand their minds more than they would have had especially the last year and a half,
Wow, yes.
with the online learning. So that's been
Right.
rough for everyone.
It has. It really has. Wow. And that's good. And they have definitely shown to, that with homeschooling, it can work, that it
Oh
can
yeah.
work. It's
Oh, it
possible. It
can
can
work.
work. Yeah, that's great. That's great. And maybe what you can do is maybe later you can share with us some of the resources for people who are struggling with the homeschooling.
Sure. Yeah.
If you have it available. I, of course, don't have that information. My kids are grown. So, but if
No,
you can have that and share that,
things that are helpful tips for people.
right, that'll be great. And so now let's shift to now about the type 1 diabetes. When did you learn that you had it? And what was the symptoms? Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, it was 28 years ago, so
Okay.
I dealt with this lovely disease for that long.
Okay.
When I
Okay.
first was diagnosed, I was having a lot of low blood sugars, and I actually self-diagnosed myself, saying I was hypoglycemic because it sounded good when I was in college.
Right.
Hypoglycemic, but those were the first stages that I was going through. Just having a lot of low blood sugars, so my mouth would get numb, my throat would get numb, my tongue, like when I was hungry, or we'd be out at happy hour or something, and all of a sudden I'd be like, I need to eat right now. And I didn't know what was going on with me, but all I knew
Mm-hmm.
is that I needed food right that second. It was just like overwhelming feeling. I was very thirsty, which is also one of the signs
Right.
of diabetes, and peeing a lot, that sort of thing. So it was very, the symptoms were all there, but the internet wasn't. So
Mm-hmm.
I had no idea what was going on. And also back then, I have type 1 diabetes, and there's type 1 and type 2.
Right.
And there's also like late onset diabetes. But type 1, they didn't think that you could get if you were over 18. And I was
Wow.
23 at the time. So they
Wow.
thought that I had type 2 diabetes. So they treated me at first with pills, which didn't work. I lost like 15 pounds. I was very, very sick. They
Oh,
were
wow.
trying to control me with a diet, and I was already like a toothpick, so skinny from being so sick. And none of that worked until finally a doctor was like, you know what? I think you have type 1, and they started treating me with insulin, and then that's what happened. But luckily nowadays, there's so much more information out there, and people are
Right.
just a touch away on social media, and there's about a million things that you can, just put in your symptoms, you'll figure out what you have now. But
Right.
back then it was challenging.
Right. Yeah, I can imagine. So wow. So how is that now? How have you been living with this type
Yeah.
1 diabetes? How have you been managing it? And, tell us about that.
Well, a diabetes is like a hidden disease, right? You don't look at me and go, oh, she has something wrong with her. And
No, because you look wonderful. You look perfectly healthy. You're youthful, vibrant. I mean, if they can see you right now, you're like, no, she has what?
yeah, well, look, staying healthy also, that takes a lot of work, and
It
we can talk
does.
about that a little bit. But diabetes is a hidden disease, so the times that I'm not feeling good, you can't tell by looking at me. You
Right.
can't tell that, like last night I was up until 3 o'clock in the morning because my blood
Wow.
sugars just wouldn't go down, and I figured out why by 3 o'clock in the morning, but I just couldn't go to sleep because I was scared to go to sleep with taking so much insulin, and then I was worried
Right.
about having a low. And so last night I had like 4 hours sleep, but you're not going to know that. You're not. I'm not going to be telling somebody about that. I mean, I'm telling you about it right now.
Right.
But normally, like I'm going about my daily life, no one knows that those are the kind of struggles that you go through, or
Right.
or that I'm a couple minutes late to something, or late because my blood sugar dropped, and I need to take care of that before I go someplace, or
Right.
before I get in the car, I have to make sure that my blood sugar is okay. There's challenges every single day. Like, you do not get to spend one day of your life not thinking that you have this. You're constantly reminded.
You're constantly reminded. Right. And with that being said, how would you say it helps you? How do you find, to still find joy, to still find that peace, that, happiness, dealing with when you're constantly reminded of this disease? How do you still find times to still be joyful and happy and have that self-love for yourself?
Yeah, well, I'm constantly grateful, and in fact, every day
That's
when it
it.
gets to 11:11 and 1:11, I always see it on the clock. I always see it, and I always thank God for all of the things that I'm giving to me, all the good things in my life, and
Right.
ask for help with the things that I'm struggling with. But I am constantly in that place of being grateful for the things that I have. So, like I was kind of saying before, everyone has something, whether it's physical, whether it's mental, whether it's emotional, that they're struggling with. And, this is my thing. This is what I got. I can do nothing about it. I accepted that from a pretty early age. Once I started getting my health back and understanding how to manage this disease, I started to say, okay, what can I do to make this something that I can help other people with? And
Right.
that's kind of one of the arms of my coaching, is to help people that have diabetes, to help them to better manage their lives, both emotionally and physically, and be a support system for that. So I think
Right.
being there for other people has helped me to deal with
Yes.
myself.
Yes.
And you know
Yes.
what's funny? Before social media came along, I did not, and before I even started coaching, I did not have a single friend with diabetes. It's a lonely disease, because
Wow.
like when I was sitting up till 3 a.m, I'm just by myself. My husband was sleeping, but I'm just like there, and it's like very lonely in the middle of the night, that you're just sitting there like waiting, looking at my phone every 2 seconds, going, "When's my sugar going to come down? When's my sugar going to come down?" So,
Wow.
so in recent years, like probably in the last 10 years or so, I've met a lot of people with diabetes, and I've created this network that that it's fun, that you can bounce things off of. That now we're in a group text, and I'm just like, I couldn't sleep, last night because of my sugar. And you have someone who understands
Support system, yes, and they understand because they're going through it as well.
exactly the same.
And that is so important. That is great. And the key thing you said earlier is, how you find that joy and happiness, and to still feel, that being grateful, that's the key thing, to find gratitude, in every day and it's something that I probably say it every week, every time I'm on my podcast, but that is the key, is to have that attitude of gratitude, and so, because things could be worse, and now with COVID, right? And now with that going on, that's even more of a challenge for people with health issues and things like
I
that.
had it.
Right. So please, I know you shared that with me before we were on the air prior. So please share, what was that like?
Sure. So, what's the interesting thing about this is that my kids and family, my husband, all got it a month before me, and I was there taking care of them, and I never got sick. And then all of a sudden, a month later, I got it, and it was Christmas Eve, and I had just had my family all over and everything, my brothers and my sister-in-laws and the kids and my parents, and I had gotten tested for COVID every week going up to that time, and it was always negative. Had a party at my house, for Christmas Eve, and that night went to bed, and I woke up with 103 fever, and I was like,
Oh, wow.
no. Thankfully, no one got it in my house, which goes back to what I was saying before, that when my kids and husband had it, they didn't give it to me. So I wonder, it's very confusing as to how
Right.
the contagion of it. But okay, so I equate it to the flu, like a bad flu. I was high fever, 103 fever for a couple of days, and then after that, felt like I had a bad sinus infection. Okay? And I was just really tired, and my body hurt. It felt like the flu. I've had the flu before bad. It never went into my chest area. It was just always in my neck and head. So it was challenging, but how it affected my diabetes was not so much affecting my blood sugar numbers because I was sick, but I took a steroid, and that, when you take steroids and you're diabetic, it just shoots your blood sugar up.
Oh, wow.
Into your body. So I had that going on for a bit, and then I lost my taste and smell like a week later.
Right.
And finally that came back after a week, and now I'm back. I'm good as new.
That's
I
good.
was pretty tired for a while. But,
Right.
Yeah.
And would you say, are you feeling anything? I mean, I know you said it was around Christmas time, but, from what I've been hearing from the doctors and listening, to different researchers who's virologists and all of that, that there are some long-term side effects would you say that you experienced something different now that you didn't have prior to getting it?
No, the only thing that that kind of lingered for a little bit was the being tired part. Like I'm the kind of person who jumps out of bed at 7 in the morning and I'm ready to go and work out and get on with my day.
Right.
But I would still be in bed. It would be like 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock. I'm like, I could not drag myself out, and that lasted for like I would say like a solid month until I felt okay. I feel
Really?
like again. But when I had the flu, it was the same exact trajectory of the virus. Like I
Right.
felt that was the same way, and it took a while for me to feel like spunky again.
Right,
You know?
right.
But I think everyone's different. My
Yeah.
entire family, nobody has any long-term effects from it. I know
Mm-hmm.
so many people who have had it, and everyone's good as new again. So
Right.
I mean,
Right.
But then again, my 103-year-old uncle died from it. So
Wow. Sorry to
yeah,
hear that. Yeah.
that was the whole nursing home
Right.
right here
Right.
in New York. But he, but he was 103, and
Wow.
it's always obviously tragic, but
Of course. Yeah.
the flu, it's just as dangerous.
It is just as
people
dangerous.
that the elderly population like that.
Right.
So,
Right.
so yeah, I mean, it was. I'm good though. I'm better, and I can use my experience to help other people. And
Definitely. Definitely.
So,
And see, and they talk about that too. When you have health issues, that of course that can make with the virus, a person coming in contact with COVID, and having underlying issues make it, maybe harder to recover or to recuperate, or where it could be even fatal. But for you, I mean, it was something totally different. Go ahead.
well, that's true. That's very true, and it goes back to how. Look, there's always going to be things there's always going to be outliers, like somebody who's perfectly
Right.
healthy and then gets it and something happens to them. That's terrible.
Mm-hmm.
But for the most part, if you are like I don't consider myself sick.
Right.
Even though I have a disease, I have sickness.
Right. Right.
I don't consider myself a sick person. So I know my parents were really worried about me when I got it because they just hear diabetic and you get it and that's
Right.
But I'm like I'm not. I don't. I consider that like just like my arm or something. With having diabetes, like that's
Something you live with, something you have and you
just a
live
part
with.
of who I am, and
Right.
I don't look at it like,
Yeah.
oh no, it's going to affect how I'm going to fight a disease. Now, that being said, my A1C, which is the average blood sugars that you have basically for a 3-month period, is very good. And a lot
Good.
of people with, or I should say, that there's definitely a good group of people with diabetes that don't have a good A1C.
Right.
And when you don't have a good A1C, your body isn't able to fight things as well. So that's all part of how you live your life as a person and how healthy you are leading up to something like that.
Right.
I'm
Definitely.
just glad I have the antibodies now. I can donate plasma and I don't have to deal with it anymore.
Right.
It's kind of
That's good. Yeah, that's great. That's great. So now also tell us about now I know I've seen that you did several books, one on homeschooling, and I think was it one or two on diabetes.
one on diabetes. It's
Okay. Two
too sweet, the not so serious side to diabetes, and
Okay.
that goes with my whole like life mantra of saying, don't take yourself too seriously. Look at the bright side of things. Look at in my book too. I'm like laugh at it a bit because if you can't laugh at it, and you can't laugh at yourself and the things that you're going through, because some things are just ridiculous.
Right. Right.
And you need to look at the light side of it, and that helps you deal with the harder times. It helps you be able to move forward with things. So that's the book about diabetes, and then my homeschool book is Homeschool Happily, Yes You Can. So again, it's how to approach something with a good attitude.
And that's exactly it. It's approaching something with a good attitude, and keeping positive vibes, positive spirits, energy. It's just that's how you make it through the day. Every day may not be a great day, right? But
No,
yeah,
not.
because sometimes we're not always at our best, and that's okay, But it's getting through the day and just taking it one day at a time and being present. So what else would you like to share with us? What are some upcoming projects that you're working on? What are you doing in the upcoming months for 2021?
Oh, well, I don't know. I have a lot of different things going on.
Right.
Irons in the fire. So some things I can't really talk about right
Right.
now, but
Right.
there are, I'm definitely doing some work with some of the diabetes companies. I'd actually like to tell you about some of the things, because one of the things that you were asking me, like, how do you deal with this and how do you keep a positive attitude? And well, one of the ways that I personally do is by researching and finding out new products, new technology, new ways that it's going to make my life and the lives of other diabetics easier. And there are so many different types of technology out there and pharmaceuticals that will help you to live your best life with diabetes. And one of
Right.
them that I've been using, which was very revolutionary, it's an implantable, which goes under your skin, a sensor it's a CGM, a continuous glucose monitor, and it monitors my blood sugar. I don't only have to change it every 3 months. So
Okay.
whereas most of those monitors you need to change every week to 10 days. So for me, it's just inside, and
Okay.
and I just have a transmitter on top of it, and it reads right to my phone, and it's absolutely amazing. So that's one of the companies that I really love. And another one, many people are used to taking their insulin through an insulin pump, maybe, or doing injections. I inhale my insulin with an insulin called Afrezza, and it is by far the best insulin that I've
I
ever
think
used.
I've heard the name in a commercial, and I know about that one for your arm. I think I've seen that in a commercial as well. But you said you can inhale that. Now that's new to me. I think I may have seen it and I just ignored it.
I live for this stuff. I say I would crawl across broken glass to get it. It's that
Wow.
amazing. It's so many, like, eons beyond regular insulin, of
Wow.
just the way that it works and the functionality, and how quick it works, and how it eliminates a lot of lows, because there's something called stacking insulin that happens, like when I was talking about my sugar being high last night. So if I was taking injectable insulin, I would take it, and then I'd take more, then I'd take more, and I'd take more, because my sugar wasn't going down, and then I'd lose track, like, how much do I have insulin on board left in my body, and then
Right.
all of a sudden you would have a crash a couple of hours later where it all sort of hits together and go into a really bad low. Well, with the Afrezza, it doesn't do that, because it's only in your body for a maximum of 2 hours, and my body's really like an hour and a half, and I know at an hour and a half I don't have any of that insulin left, and I can take more if I need to. So
Okay, that's great.
it eliminates that. That is such a huge problem for the biggest problems are obviously complications when you have diabetes, and having high blood sugars and low blood sugars. And the Afrezza in long term helps to prevent the complications, because you're having much tighter control, and it helps to eliminate the highs from having them for a long period of time, because you can quickly reduce them with this super ultra rapid acting insulin, whereas other ones might start taking effect on my body in like an hour. This one starts working in like 5 minutes.
Right.
So
Right.
so
Right.
that's another thing I encourage people to take. It's taking control of something, taking charge of something.
Yes.
And
Yes.
trying to make your life better by what can you add to it, or what can you take away to make things easier, to make things get really burnt out on having diabetes too.
Right.
You're doing some 28 years, the same old thing. It's like it feels like you're in Groundhog Day constantly.
Right.
So to add new things in is really incredible, and really helps to eliminate that burnout too.
Right, definitely. And I love what you said when you're saying taking control, right? And so many people, we can use diabetes as an example, but we can also use, you have many people suffering from mental health, with mental health issues, right? Dealing with depression and anxiety. And it's again, it's taking control, right? Or whatever illnesses that you may have, taking control and say, listen, I'm going to find a way to fight this. I'm going to find a way to deal with this. It may be difficult. It's not always easy, right? But just taking charge of your life, because we all can't rely on just the doctors and I've said this before too. Yeah, you can't do that. You have to be in
Better off
control.
relying on yourself. I mean,
Exactly.
That's part of your support team. But
Right.
the truth is, you're your best advocate. So
That's
when
right.
you see something that you want to try, or something that you want to be a part of, if you sit back and wait for your doctor to maybe bring it up one day, it might not be his philosophy. It might not be the type of thing that he does. But if you go to him and say, "Hey, I want to do
Right.
this," you're taking the reins of your own destiny,
That's
basically.
it. That's exactly it. And I love that. And people have to, we can't just rely on other people to do for us or to give us whatever it is that we're looking for. We have to take control of that. And
Right.
like you said, to be in control of our health, our well-being. Because if we don't do it, who's going to do it? You think the doctor's going to call you in the middle of the night? Hey, I heard your blood sugar's low. Is everything all right over there, Laura? How's it going? They're not
Right.
doing
Well,
that.
it's funny because, in fact, when I had COVID, it was Christmas. I got it on the Christmas Eve into Christmas. I couldn't even get in touch with my doctor. So I'm like, what am I even supposed to do? So it was
Wow.
because I took charge of my own stuff, and I
That's
said,
it.
okay, I need to have these drugs. And I was like, I'm just doing a teledoc of random appointment. And I was like, I need these things. So that's how I did. Instead of sitting back and going, well, I'll just wait a couple of days. No,
Right.
I'm going to take charge now.
Right, right. And if something feels off and you're not feeling right, and this is what I tell people, so paying attention to your body, paying attention to when you feel like something is off or something is not right. Pay attention. And sometimes like, oh, it'll pass. You never know. It could be something serious. So it's
Right.
best to just, hey, check it out, get it checked out, and hey, be on the safe side. Be on the safe side.
That's interesting because that's one of the benefits of being diabetic, because there are some, believe it or not, but
Yeah.
that's one of the things that I'm so in tune to my body. Like if something tiny is off, I can feel it instantly and
Right.
work on getting it better, because I'm so used to feeling all the sensations of different things with high blood sugars, low blood sugars, and things like that I can feel and go and deal with those things quicker, I think, than most people. So
Right.
that's a benefit.
It is. It definitely is.
And another benefit is that it has made me like super resilient and super like just give me grit and determination, all this stuff, because I
Yes.
know that
Yes.
every day is this like kind of mountain that I'm climbing, and I look at all my little wins all the time and appreciate all the little wins. Right?
Yes. I did a podcast on that, celebrating your wins. I love that.
You should. That the
Yes.
little wins are the good things, no matter what they are. And when in fact I had gone to the doctor during the month of January, and I was that's when I was sick and recovering, and I had a bad month before that, and I was stressed and all of this stuff, and I'm like, oh, my A1C is going to be horrible, and it wasn't. And
Wow.
I was just like, that's my huge win for me right now. I mean, I don't base my life on my number, but that was
Right.
like for the day.
Right, right.
That's so good, and that helped to turn things around for me, to just go, okay, start
For
focusing on
sure.
the little things again, and that's going to help me to get into a better place. So
Definitely. Definitely. I definitely enjoyed speaking with you. That was good. I want to know, what other final thoughts would you like to share? What others battling with? Maybe diabetes. It could be diabetes. It could be other health issues, whatever, fibromyalgia, whatever it is, depression, mental health. What could you share with, just to give them something uplifting to look forward to?
Well, I think the most important thing is finding that support system. We talked about that before. I think having somebody that understands what you're going through, and not just someone that sees what you're going through, but someone who actually understands it, that goes a really long way. So that would be the first and foremost thing that I would say, is just to make sure you have somebody that you can talk to, and somebody that you can really truly say how you're feeling, and they're going to understand, and you feel like not only you're going to get sympathy, but you're going to get empathy from them. And I think that that's really important. And the other thing is just trying to maintain the best attitude that you can, and sometimes realizing that sometimes that's hard. Sometimes you're going to go through times that you are not going to feel good about yourself, or things that are happening in your life, or you're going to feel sick, and know that that's going to be temporary, and you're going to get through it, and you just have to focus on the little things, the things that are going to pick you up.
That's right. And that's exactly it. I love that. That was awesome. I enjoyed doing this interview with you. Yeah, that's why I love doing the interviews, because it's so engaging. When I'm doing the solo episodes, it's okay. I'm putting out the information, but I really enjoy more of doing the interviews and having the dialogue. I really love it, and I think my audience love it as well. I hope so anyway. But yes, so, and your website is BUOnlyBetter.com.
Spell all those words out. So.
Yes. Yeah, and we're gonna have the link with your social media and everything. So this was great. I loved it. And so, any other final thoughts?
No, I mean, I like I said, I feel like I could talk about all of these different topics and how they all kind of intertwine in my life and have made me into the person that I am. And I just think that people just have to keep plugging away and just there's always tomorrow. There's always the next thing. And you need to keep a good attitude. And
that's it.
Sometimes it's easier said than done. But
of course,
what other choice do you have?
Exactly. Exactly.
Try to be happy or be miserable, and there's just something we just got to work on. Just get through every day. And
that's it. That's exactly it.
And the things that we have.
That's exactly it. Well, thank you. Thanks again, Laura, for doing this interview, taking the time out to speak with me and sharing your information with our audience. Again, you can find out more about her books that she has available at BeYouOnlyBetter.com, all spelled out. And we'll also have all the links and everything in the profile section as well. All right. Thanks again, Laura. Good speaking with you.
I hope I get to speak to you sooner rather than later.
Yes. We got probably, if I come visit to Atlanta, we got to hook up and do lunch or something.
Yeah, for sure.
That would be great. All right. Well, you take care of yourself, okay?
Yeah. Okay.
Bye-bye.
Thank you so much for listening to Health Coach for Women with your host, Marsha Roopchand Walker. If you've enjoyed this podcast, please be sure to rate, subscribe, and review on your preferred podcast listening platform. We really appreciate that effort. Until next time.